Welcome. We're going to do a brief overview of the northwest side of San Antonio, and we're going to be covering the topics of first history and geography. Now, let's go ahead and go a little bit into this is kind of a combined section because you're looking at, for the most part, uh, the the direction of what we're talking about, the northwest side of San Antonio. We're talking about an area that's directly northwest from downtown San Antonio. So as you see the map here, we have most of the we have a good picture of most of all of San Antonio. We're talking about the areas directly northwest from it. And the reason why this is important is because the northwest, apart from the 410, is what most people call the northwest because the area where you see the arrow kind of talks about the Laconia Heights region, so that's a different name to give for that city in that side of town. Now, one of the things you're going to find out is that as you travel in this direction, we're talking about how the age of homes goes. So here, the age of homes is going to follow a path of, as you see the line, the further you go out, the newer the homes are. So the newer the homes over here, older the homes over here. And it goes true as you go more into downtown. So that kind of gives you an idea as far as age, because the further you go out from this downtown area, the further that the older of the home you'll see, and as you travel further and further out, the more newer communities and homes as well you're going to find. Now let's go ahead and talk about some geography to do with the northwest side in San Antonio. And what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and let me get this corrected first. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more into the area of town that we're talking about, which is right here. And let me zoom out a little bit because I wanted, in comparison to the other areas, the northwest San Antonio, for the most part, is this area that's right here. It's really outside the 410 loop, and it's the area that's kind of what I'm shading in here. And so most people will refer to this area right here as the northwest side of San Antonio. Now, this next area I'm going to shade in green also talks about the northwest side of San Antonio, but people refer to this green area kind of the northwest side of San Antonio, but also they call it the far northwest. And when we start going past Pipe Creek and some of these areas over there, they start calling it more the names of the community, Pipe Creek, and actually start calling more like the Bend area or some of the areas over there. Now, another thing that's important to keep in mind is that a lot of people also consider this area right here, we'll sometimes call this part over here northwest San Antonio. And the reason being is that the northwest side of San Antonio is mostly encompassed by the North Side Independent School District. And because of that, for the most part, the North Side Independent School District covers this area that you see in green, and not all of it, but a lot of it, and also more of it out to what we call the far west side of San Antonio as far as the scheme of things. So this is, as far as the geography level, this is kind of the area of town that we're talking about when you're talking about northwest side of San Antonio. Now, one of the things that we want to talk about when it comes to geography is how is the traffic. Now, we'll briefly talk about the traffic. The traffic in San Antonio right now, there's rush hour traffic like there is anywhere, but there's some times that are better and worse, and I'll kind of give you an idea of how it pretty much works in San Antonio as far as the flow of traffic. And for that, let me go ahead and bring up the little traffic setting on here. You should go ahead and be able to click on it. So I have to bring up the traffic setting for you. And you're going to go ahead and see that right now. Let me click on traffic. Now this is the live traffic view right now. And this is actually very typical of what you're going to see in San Antonio at this hour of time, at 2 p.m. Now, I'm going to go and show you typical traffic because I want to show you what you're going to experience for the most part when you're dealing with traffic. Now, if you look at 6 a.m., traffic's pretty clear when you look at the 1604 loop. So remember, we're most in a sense focusing, zoom in on this side of town right here. So as you can see, for the most part, traffic's pretty good. Now, what ends up happening is that when you get to about 6:30, if you notice, we're starting to have some buildup of traffic right in the 1604 loop. That means that we start getting into some slower sleeps right off Bandera, because there's a right off here in Bandera Road. You start having quite a bit of traffic as far as this side right here, in that area there. And you know what I might be doing better is let me use the highlighter to better show that to you. This area right here. And so if you notice, for the most part, the traffic in the morning is really just heading out this way, because most people follow this traffic pattern. And one of the reasons being is that there's a couple of offices, the medical center area, and not only that, but the right now there's actually quite a bit of construction in this area right here that causes this traffic, because there's only 3 lanes on the highway at that point, and then after that it opens up. And 1604 loop is actually 2 lanes. So right now, the way traffic's going, well, you kind of hit traffic there. But the good thing to know, more of anything, is that for the most part, traffic flows that way, and it gets the heaviest at, let's see, let's go ahead and show the time. Oops, hold on a second, let me clear this out again. And let me try to put, what happens with traffic. The traffic for the most part, when you get to 7:30 is probably the worst. You see how it's become very red in several parts and also yellow. And around 8, it stays just as heavy. 8:30, it starts lining it up. So kind of around 9 p.m., it all clears out. So really the rush hour traffic in San Antonio, you're talking about a span between 6:30 to 8:30 is really the span. Now what happens in the afternoon? Now for the people in the afternoon, you're kind of seeing that it's around, not 6, it's around 4:30 that it begins. Probably right at 5 is maybe the heaviest, 5:30, coming from that side. And then right at 6 is pretty heavy. And right around 7, it kind of clears up. So between 6:30 to 7 is when it starts clearing up. That kind of gives you an idea as far as how the geography plays into the traffic thing. Now, as far as the shopping and lifestyle here in San Antonio, let me go ahead and kind of show you. If you're going to be living in the northwest side of San Antonio, there's a couple of areas you should be aware of. I'm going to go ahead and point them out in the maps. And the maps, you got a big shopping area right here. You got the Shops of La Cantera, and also you got the Rim right there. So you got a lot of shopping there. Now, for the most part, you actually have shops all around the highways. So highways all through here, all through the highways, you'll have shops. Now, actually, you'll have right here a concentration of shops on both these areas here. And then also right here, right by Bandera, you have more shops right here. And each of these areas I'm highlighting, you're going to find grocery stores, convenience stores. You're also going to find a lot of especially like this area that right now I'm circling. This area right here, the Bandera Road area, you'll have Walmarts, HEBs, Targets, Home Depots, Lowe's, all those big major chains you're going to find there. You actually won't see a whole lot of shops past there. You might find a few like Walgreens and other items, but the next area of town that's close in the northwest that has a lot of shopping is right in here. And another area that actually has quite a bit of shopping is right here, the Ingram Park Mall. Now, Ingram Park Mall is normally a older mall. The La Cantera, this side over here, it's a much newer mall, and much high-end quality shops would be there. Now, there's actually everywhere pretty much you see the highway, there'll be shopping that's available to you. Grocery stores, banks, anything you're normally accustomed to, you're going to find in there. And also spots of shopping all in between inside the communities as well. Huebner and different little areas in here. You'll find more shopping in little small convenience stores, and sometimes a little bit more special shops as well. Now, that kind of gives you an idea of what the shopping is. There's plenty of shopping that's available to you, and if you don't find something here, you can find it somewhere else in some other part of town. So now let's go ahead and move on, and we're going to actually move on to the lifestyle and culture part of the northwest side of San Antonio. I would say the northwest side of San Antonio is actually very family orientated. There's a lot of little community parks, a lot of subdivisions. There's little parks that are built inside for that subdivision in particular. Now, as far as the big public parks are going to be this one right here, O.P. Schnabel, the one I'm coloring in green. And it has a greenway belt that goes all the way from there. And I kind of want to say it extends almost to Ingram Park Mall. But that greenway belt, apart from O.P. Schnabel, is a big trail and also either bike route, walking route, or jogging route. And OP in itself is also another big park that houses YMCA and it has a lot of recreation for the family. Apart from that, you have the Government Canyon area, which is right over here. This is a huge park, but this park is mostly just jogging, hiking, or riding. It's not very family orientated because it's actually quite extensive terrain that's in here. So it's good for the adults, not so much for the kids, unless the kids are very active with you. One of the interesting things to do with Government Canyons is they went ahead and actually found dinosaur tracks, and that's actually become a big attraction for the area itself. Apart from that, you have another park right here, which is Culebra Park. It's not very well used or not very frequented. And then from there, you'll have those small parks built on inside the communities. Like outside the 1604 Loop, there's a little community park there. As far as over here by Wild Horse Community, there's a little park there. And there's a lot of little subdivisions in here that we could touch on, in which they'll have some kind of amenity center for you, like a little park area, playground area. Some of them will feature a pool, some of them won't. But that kind of gives you an idea of what to expect as far as park-wise. There is another park that's worth mentioning right over here. I don't exactly remember the name of this park, but it does have a lake in it. And you also find little small parks here and there. Now, let's go ahead, and that kind of gives you an idea of lifestyle and culture of the area. It's very family oriented, very well-rounded, I guess, on this side of town, as far as the northwest side. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the economy of the northwest side of San Antonio. Northwest side of San Antonio right now has a very nice economy. Most of the time, the people that are moving here are actually are moving here because either there's actually quite a bit of jobs that are being created, mostly a lot of it office jobs that originate right from the 151 area, like right here. There's actually a lot of office park jobs there. But then there's also a lot of jobs that come out here because of Lackland and Kelly Air Force Base. Now, another big driver that is driving a lot of the San Antonio economy, well, right now at the moment, apart from Kelly and everything else, I'm going to erase this right here so you can see it. Let me zoom out instead. Is a lot of people are moving to this side of area just because at the moment there's actually quite a bit of oil business on the south part of San Antonio, which is all over here. Now, what ends up happening is that these areas that I originally kind of highlighted, here and here, here, and other areas as well in town, there's also a corporate center there, a couple other things, Valero's there, U-Star's over here, and then also you have this whole medical center area there. What ends up happening for the most part is that all these green dots are within a good travel distance for a lot of families, and at the same time, they also feature kind of like a good school district, the North Independent School District, because between the North Independent and the Northeast School Districts are the two top school districts here in San Antonio. Now, let's go ahead and lightly touch on schools, because it's not one of the things that we're really going to get into on this video, but let's go ahead and lightly touch on schools. And it's mostly about geography as far as the schools, and depending where you're located, for the most part. As far as high schools, they're high schools. A lot of elementary schools are very good. Now, the high schools are the ones that are a little bit larger, and it's going to be more of an individual thing for you to look into. And I'll make more of a video into that as far as talking about some of the schools, some of the benefits of them, and really some of the advantages of them. I guess more of anything, the big high schools, if you want to point them out here on this video. There's over here Clark, you have O'Connor, which is over here. Brandeis is there. Taft is over here. And there's also Marshall, which was built in here. It's here, about there. So geographically, you got these schools are in there, but these are just high schools. There's a lot more elementaries that are in there, but as far as how good they are and things like that, I think we're going to save that for a different video. We highly encourage you to go to NISD.net, which is the North Independent School District website, if you'd like more information and know more about this area and everything. Okay, fantastic. All right. Feel free to contact us anytime. We are your real estate experts here in San Antonio. You can reach us directly at 1-800-261-7216, or you can visit us online at khomes.org. That's www, letter K, homes.org, or at 1-800-261-7216. Thank you.